Today our academic topic is basic life support part 3. In part 1 we discuss about the chain of survival. In part 2 we discuss about the early recognition and activation of the emergency medical services or nearby help. So today we are going to see exclusively the chest compressions. So how to start the chest compressions and where you have to place the hands. All these things we are going to discuss today, right? So the second part of the link is the early chest compressions. The chest compressions is the only fundamental and basic principle which will save the patients. The survival is depends upon the how early you start the chest compression and how you are continuing without interruptions. So that is the thing they will give a name it as a like a high quality chest compressions. The high quality BLS depends upon the high quality chest compressions, right? Okay, so we will see about the chest compressions, right? How to do these chest compressions, where you will place the hand, right? The hand placement is at the center of the chest. So the center of the chest is the common terminology. So how to identify this center of the chest, right? So this is the thing, when in the cardiac arrest the patient is lying down on the floor, you have to kneel down nearby the victim. Then you have to find the center of the chest. How to find it is the midline, right? So from from the sternum to the sternum, that this is the midline. So that we know easily find out. Right, so here it is at the level of imaginary line between the two nipples. So that is known as the center of the chest, right? So how you will place the hand is like only your heel of the hand should touches the body, right? It's not that whole part of the hand will touch the body. Only heel of the hand, right? This part will touch the patient's chest, right? So when whether it is a right hand or left hand, that is the next doubt. Whatever hand you are dominant in, right? You are a dominant hand. For example, if you are a right-handed person, put your right hand first. Otherwise, if you are a left-handed person, put your left hand first, right? Then you reimpose with the other hand, like you have to support it with that, right? So you are kneeling down, right? Your whole body weight is on the knee joint, right? You should kneel down, right? How much you should kneel down in the forward is your shoulder must be with the patient's center, like midline. It should be the patient's nose. When you kneel down like this, your shoulder must be come with the midline with the patient at the tip of the nose, with the imaginary line. If you draw the line, it should come to the tip of the nose, like that. How you should kneel down. Why we should kneel down like that is, when you do a chest compression, right, you need a lot of energy, right? If the patient is in the little distance, you will do like this. So you will spend more energy, otherwise your compressions will not be a quality one. So to avoid that, you are kneeling down more, like you are using your upper body weight to compress this chest rather than using the physical energy or using your musculature. So that's will reduce our energy expenditure, right? So that for that reason you have to kneel down forward to do a chest compression, right? So then how much depth I should compress in an adult, it will vary with the with the age. In the pediatric and in the infant it is little different, but when it come to the adult, it must be at least 2 inches in the depth. 2 inches means it must be like at least 5 centimeter in depth, right? So that much compression depth you have to produce when you do a chest compression, right? The compression is very important with the 2 inches depth. The same is important that you are recoiling the chest, right? You are compressing very good 2 inches, then you relax the chest, because our aim is not to make a hard to squeeze with our compressions. It is to make the pressure difference into the thoracic cavity. We all know that the thorax is from the upper part of the neck to the up to the diaphragm is known as the chest, right? So it is a closed cavity. Here downwards it is closed by the diaphragm, upward it is closed by the all the muscles and vessels and nerves which is closing the neck, right? Only the opening part is the major part is the trachea, right? So when you create the pressure difference into this thoracic cavity, we know that the heart is made up of so many valves, right? So which is allows the only blood flow in only one direction. When you squeeze when you compress, all these backflow will be stopped. Like right side of the heart will be stopped. When the left side of the heart is opened, when you squeeze the blood, chest, the left side of the heart will pump the blood to all part of the body. When you relax, when you release the chest, when you allow the chest to recoil, left side valves will close, the right side valve will open. That will suck the blood from the other parts of the body, like from the head and abdomen, from the peripheral part of the body. The blood automatically will fill into the chambers, right side of the chamber. Then it will go to the lungs. Again, it will come to the left part of the heart. This we know, this is a basic principle. When you do this, when you are allowing the chest to recoil, which is giving the good amount of blood, like a preload of the heart, which is giving the good amount of the blood into the heart, right? When you squeeze it, it will pump to the all part of the body. So the compression is very important. The same way, the relaxation is also more important, equally important like that of the compressions. So the 2-inch depth is the, it's a very good important compressions, right? Next we will go see the how many compressions we have to make, right? How many compressions you have to make? We should make 30 compressions, right? So you are doing at 2 inches depth, right? That's also 30 compressions you are doing. Each 30 compressions you are stopping the compressions, then you are going for the ventilation, right? Let me complete these compressions, right? How speed we should do? That's another factor. Like if you do very fast, what will happen? If you do very slow, what will happen? What is the ideal range of chest compression? The ideal range of chest compression is the rate of compression is 100 to 120 per minute. If you do the compressions, it must be fit into the 100 to 120 per minute, right? If you do more, what will happen? Already we know that. If you produce the tachycardia, I already discussed the physiology in the cardio version, right? If you do more, what will happen is you are not giving the time to fill the heart, right? So the heart is not filled with blood. You are doing only like empty compressions. The heart is not filled with the blood because you are not allowing the heart to fill with blood. That is by the recoiling. So the good recoiling and good compressions, it needs only the 100 to 120 per minute. If you do more, then you are squeezing the empty heart. If you slow, then the heart will fill. The output also very good, cardiac output also very good, but it will not achieve the tissue perfusions. The brain perfusions you cannot achieve. So that is the thing, you have to make a speed of 100 to 120 per minute. So that is the good way of doing a high quality chest compressions, right? Now we know that we do only the 30 compressions. You stop the 30 compressions. You stop the compressions at the 30, right? How will you do that? You have to count yourself, or you have to count loudly, because when you work with the team, if you are alone, you need not to count. Otherwise, you can count yourself. If you are working with the team, other team members should know what phase of compressions you are, because usually when you come to the team, one person will come take care of the airway, another person will do the compressions. He should know what phase you are, because when it reaches to nearly 20 to 25 compressions, he will be ready with the airway. So for that reasons, you need loud counting, like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, and just you count that, right? So once it reaches 25 to near 20 to 25, that opposite persons will be ready, right? What phase of CPR you are, what he should do, he will be prepared for himself. So that is the high quality of chest compressions. Next thing, after 30 compressions, what you will do, right? There are two things is there. Here, if you are alone, what you will do is, you can do either prefer the mouth-to-mouth ventilation or using the barrier devices. What is this barrier devices means? That is a special devices which will, it is like a face mask. We are using in a ambu bag, same like face mask, which is having the valve into that, right? If you blow to the air to the patients, it will allow inside. But once the patient exhales, that air will not come to us. So that is the barrier device you can use. If you have the barrier device, you use it, right? So use and give the 2 rescue breaths. First we will go with the mouth-to-mouth ventilation. If the victim is your close relative, then you can go ahead. Already it is a known person to you, right? His medical history you know, then you do the mouth to mouth ventilation. Otherwise it is not recommended. Most of the time use the barrier devices, that is the recommended procedure, right? So how to do the mouth to mouth ventilation? You make the head and tilt, because the unconscious patients, they will have the tongue fall, so the tongue is obstructing the airway. You make the head tilt, chin lid, pinch the nose nicely, then you make a seal with your mouth and with the patient's mouth, that is the mouth to mouth seal. Each respiration is a 1 second. Don't need to have a more inhalation, then you blow the air to the patients. It's not recommended. Just you take a normal breath and put it to the patient's mouth and give a rescue breathing. The only thing you given a nice rescue breathing is you will see the chest rise and fall. Right, when you blow the air, you will see the chest rise, then you've done a good job, right? 2 rescue breathing is needed, right? Now we all know about the compressions and ventilation. So what are all the what are all the features of high quality chest compression is? One is depth of compression. Depth of compression is at least 2 inches. At least 2 inches. It's around 5 centimeters depth. We are doing the compressions, right? Next thing is, what is the rate of compression is 100 to 120 per minute. This is the speed of compressions. How many compressions we have to do is 30 compressions per minute. So this is the basic principle we have to do. Apart from this, what is the features of a high quality CPR is, right? Minimizing the interruption. Minimizing the interruption. Interruption means you are always, this compression is the thing which will save the patient. So don't stop the compressions. You have to minimize the interruptions of the chest compression. So that is the thing. Then allow the chest to recoil. Allow the chest to recoil fully. So these are all the components of the high quality CPR. First thing is the depth, rate, and how many compressions you are doing. Then the features of this thing is minimizing the interruptions. Like during the ventilation, you will stop the compressions, or during the exchange, if 2 persons is there, you will exchange with the compression and ventilation. So that time you will stop the compressions. That time should be reduced. Allow the chest to recoil. So your hand position is at the center of the chest. It is the midline in the from the sternum to the episternum. Next is it is the imaginary line which is connecting the 2 nipples. That is the between the point you are placing your hands. Use your dominant hand, support with your reinforce with the other hand. Kneel down with the patient. Your shoulder must be at the level of the patient's midline, and say at the tip of the nose. You have to go that. Then you start the compressions. Right. I hope that you all enjoyed this video. Please subscribe this channel for latest updates and latest guidelines. We are going to discuss about the CPR and other kind of emergency and critical care topics. Please subscribe this channel and share these topics with your friends and colleagues.